nothing bad, but it's, you know, standard, hey, we need this or that or the other thing. So we're working through this process. And I had said to John, I said, John, this is exactly why there'll be realtors in 100 years. Our job is problem solving. And with every transaction, right, something always comes up. And sometimes clients don't hear anything about it. And sometimes they're really big issues and sometimes they're smaller issues. But there's always something, right? And you have to continuously move the process forward. So you know, why a realtor, right? Why have somebody, you know, doing all that? It's it's my full-time job to, you know, beyond just like negotiating a contract and getting in place. It's then saying, okay, we're gonna, you know, make sure everything's in place, in order, title is good. You know, we're dealing with the lender, we're contacting, you know, the other party constantly to make sure that we actually get to a closing table. And that's not an easy process, right? And it takes time, and there's going to be issues, and you know, big issues, termite, houses full of termites, water in the basement, you know, major issues. To smaller issues, just being like, hey, we need, you know, this affidavit of affixture on this property, or, you know, chasing down different things. Those are all important things, and that's why, you know, it's nice to have somebody who's in your corner. You know, flip side, you know, God forbid something really bad happens and then you close the transaction and then there's a lawsuit. It's also nice just to have, you know, a brokerage and, hey, did we make sure we did all the proper things? Because your house is your biggest asset. You know, and people today, you know, I've had buyers and sellers threaten to sue each other over a used refrigerator from the garage, a beer fridge. No joke. That's a funny story. So I list this house in Howard City. Horrible sale. This is like latter part of the last recession. Finally get to a closing. We had title issues. It was a divorce situation. We had to chase down the ex-husband who was 3 states away. Finally get to a closing table. Finally close the transaction. My gal is so excited to just be done with this house. She made literally no money. She took the refrigerator out of the garage because it wasn't on the purchase agreement, right? And she needed a fridge for her next place. Okay. Fast forward, buyer takes possession, moves in, literally threatens to take her to small claims court over the refrigerator in the garage. Wasn't on the purchase agreement. But I mean, the buyer raised this thing for 2 weeks. We ended up dealing with that buyer who was all upset about the refrigerator from the garage, not the refrigerator from the kitchen. And it was just the most crazy thing. You know, I think there's a certain type of person that does a really good job being a for sale by owner. You know, provided that you're doing those, you know, the proper channels and you're following the playbook and you understand the laws and what you need to do as a seller to sell your house, right? You've got disclosures, you've got certain things you have to do. And there's definitely a certain type of person that can be a very successful for sale by owner. I think most of the time when you look at the numbers, it makes way more sense to say, hey, I'm going to go hire a professional to handle this transaction, right? Between time and everything else, liability, I think it makes sense to hire a professional. I don't do my own roofing, right? I hire a roofer to do the roofing. Why? Well, because there's liability, there's time. I could totally put my own roof on my own house. I don't do that because it's not worth my time and it's not going to be as good. Yeah, so you know, that's our job, right? It's doing all of the research on the property, making sure, you know, before it ever hits the MLS, right? Our job is to research the property, make sure we've got, you know, the best photos, pre-title, the signs in the yard, everything is ready to go. So that way when it actually is uploaded and ready to go and taken to market, sorry, you know, everything's there, right? Boom. You only get one shot to make a first impression. It's really important to make sure that you've got a good marketing plan in place to make sure that's there. When you put a transaction together and there's another agent on the other side, yeah, there's negotiations and there's those things, but that other agent is kind of your team member to, hey, your job is to make sure that the seller's doing everything they need or the buyer's doing everything they need to get that transaction to a closing. So you are working together. If you shouldn't be combative with that other person. You should, you're problem solving together, right, to get it to a close. I'm gonna wash the floors. I need a Zamboni is what I need, honestly. Like if I had a little walk, you laugh, I've like literally looked for him. Like I need a little walk behind Zamboni to wash these freaking floors.